going to be working into our lower backs today. And this was a fantastic suggestion from a couple weeks ago when I did a class for our upper backs. So I've been thinking about lower backs for the last few weeks. And so today we're going to focus there on creating space in the spine for your lower back, loosening up the front of your body. When the front of your body is tight, hip flexors, your psoas, your abdominal muscles that can often cause related tension in your lower back. So we'll focus on opening up the front of the body as well as the back of the body so that you can feel the space in your lower back, and hopefully your lower back will feel happier and more comfortable after this class. You don't need any props, but if you happen to have a yoga block or a blanket or folded up towel to use to do a little release in your psoas, you can go ahead and grab one, and we'll use that or not, as the case may be, during our class. So if you want to grab one of those props, if you need any other props or like any other props for practice, go ahead and set those near you. And as you're ready, go ahead and come to lie on your back. And as you come to lie on your back, of course, first you just get to a place that feels comfortable for your lower back. You might have to wiggle around a little bit. I always feel like I need to draw my knees into my chest first to get my lower back towards the floor, maybe even rock a little bit. And that helps to relieve my back. You might be quite the opposite. You might like to stretch your legs out long and feel very comfortable, or have your knees tented. Take a few moments here to find a reclined space that does feel good to your back, whatever it happens to be this morning. You want this to be a relatively still place. That being said, if the place you are becomes uncomfortable at all in the next few moments, don't hesitate to change it up. And then see if you can focus on relaxing your shoulder blades down towards the floor. See if you can relax your belly button a little bit. Imagine that your belly button is like a drawstring and it's been held really, really tight, that drawstring. And now you're just loosening it up. You're just releasing all of the muscles outwards from your belly button, out to the middle of your belly, out to the sides, and your low belly, and the space underneath your rib cage. Let all of those muscles go. Imagine relaxing your jaw. Relax your eyes. You might even close them if you have not already done so. Relax the space behind your eyes. Nice, full, deep breath here. And we'll start to work into our lower backs. When you're ready, you're going to have your right knee hugged into your chest. The sole of your left foot could be on the floor, or maybe you can extend your left foot long to the end of the mat and just give your right knee a little hug in towards your chest. You could hold your thigh, or you could hold your shin, or you could use a strap over your foot or hold onto your foot here if holding onto the leg itself doesn't feel quite comfortable, but you want to feel compression of your thigh against your belly. And then reach through the sole of your left foot. So turn your toes up towards the ceiling if your foot is extended. Push the heel down towards the end of the mat. Maybe you reach your left arm up over your head. If that's too much, of course, you can have this foot on the floor, this left foot on the floor, and you can turn the heel up and just push as far down as you can. If the leg doesn't get straight, that's fine. Reach through the left fingertips, reach through the left heel. Keep hugging the right knee into the chest and just feel that space on the left side of your abdomen. Take another deep breath here. And then go ahead and relax your left hand, relax your left foot. Bring the sole of your right foot to the floor. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. And again, you want to feel the compression against your belly. You can have your foot tended, you can have your leg extended. See what feels good to your hips and your lower back. Find the spot to hug on that leg that allows you to bring the thigh towards the belly. You really want to kind of squish the belly a little bit, give it a little massage. And then you're gonna reach through your right heel. Remember, it doesn't matter if your leg is straight, you're just reaching and turning those toes up to the sky. Maybe you reach your right arm up over your head. And I've kind of hooked my arm into my leg so I can keep the compression on the left side going. Keep pulling the left thigh towards the chest, and you reach through the right fingertips, you reach through the right heel, you lengthen the right side of the body. And you just spend a couple of moments here feeling all of that space. Inhale, and then as you exhale, let go of the right hand, let go of the right leg, release the left foot to the floor. Hug the right knee again in towards the chest. This time catch behind your thigh as you extend your right leg up towards the ceiling, and then gently draw your right leg towards you. You might feel perfectly happy catching behind the thigh. You might feel a little stretch at the back of your thigh, or you might have to go a little further, catching the calf or the ankle. Again, you're welcome to catch the foot or use a strap over the foot or the back of the thigh to assist you in getting this leg towards you. And now relax your belly button. Again, imagine that drawstring is just being released. It's like you're holding the bag by the drawstring, and the drawstring top is your belly button, and then you set it down. And when you set it down, it just, all the tension just kind of drops out of it. Maybe you like to extend your left leg long. Take another breath here. And then we're going to take a twist, and you can keep your right leg straight, or you can bend your right knee for this twist, see what feels right to you, and then draw your right leg over to the left. And I'm bending my leg simply because the wall is in the way. You could simply extend this leg or take it straight all the way over. Maybe you reach your right arm out to the right and then look to the right. So now you feel the twist in your lower back, in your hips. Inhale, you come back to the center. Keep hugging the right knee into the chest. Draw the left foot and cross the right ankle over the top of the left knee and start to let your right knee drift towards the bottom of the mat. If you don't feel anything happening, you could draw your left knee in towards your chest and go a little deeper now, stretching the outer edge of that right hip. Feel free to flex and point your toes. You can play around with bending or extending your left leg. We're moving a little bit side to side. Take another breath here. And then release the left foot to the floor. Hug the right knee back in towards your chest again. Feel that little bit of compression as you exhale. Use the thigh pressing against the belly to help you really let go of that whole breath. And then place the right foot on the floor. Left knee comes in towards the chest. Now you're going to extend that leg up, catch behind the thigh, the calf, the ankle, or even onto the foot if you like to, and draw the left leg towards you a little bit. Feel the back of your thigh starting to open up a little bit. And think about relaxing your left hip towards the floor. So your left hip is heavy towards the mat as you draw your thigh towards your belly again. Maybe you like to extend the right leg. And my left leg likes to be straight. That feels good to my hamstrings, but that might not feel good to your hamstrings. It might feel much better to have your leg quite bent here, and you feel a much better stretch at the back of your thigh. Experiment, see what feels good to your body. Especially this first stretching out part is really just meant to feel like a pleasant waking up for your body. It's like that big stretch you take when you first wake up in the morning, right before your alarm. So, you have plenty of time. It's so luxurious. Going into the twist, you can keep the left leg straight or you can bend the left knee, twist over the body to the right. If you like, you can extend your left arm out and even look to the left to deepen the twist. Soften your shoulders. Bring the left knee back to the chest. And then draw the sole of the right foot in. If it's all the way out there down by the floor, cross the left ankle over the top of the right knee, let the left knee kind of fall open. Maybe that feels like plenty this morning, or maybe you like to draw the right knee in towards you. You can hold your thigh. Again, you can always use a strap here over your thigh or over the ball of your right foot to make drawing the knee in towards you a little easier if the hands don't like to connect behind the leg. If your hips are tight or you are endowed in your bottom half, sometimes drawing the legs in towards you does not feel so comfortable. Maybe you play around a little bit and you move. It just feels so nice and stretchy. Don't push too far. Make it enjoyable. Go ahead and release the right foot. Release the left foot. Stretch both legs down to the end of the mat now. Reach both arms up over your head. We're going to go back into that little side lengthening. So first you're going to reach through your left fingertips and through your left toes. And just as if you're trying to really lengthen the left side of your body, relax the right side of your body. Almost like you create a tiny little banana shape over to the right. Keep reaching for one more breath. And then release the left side. Reach through the right fingertips, reach through the right toes. Totally relax the left side. Feel the space, feel the length. And relax. We're going to do that one more time on each side, reaching through the left side, feeling the space. I'm pointing my toes, but you could equally well do what we did before, which is pressing through your heel. Relax the left side. Go over to the right, maybe trying a different variation with the foot this time. And relax. Bring your hands down by your sides. Draw the soles of your feet in. We're going to do a little bridge pose. If you want to add a supported bridge pose and a little extra release for your psoas and you happen to have a prop, go ahead, roll yourself to the side. Grab your prop, fold it up blanket, works great, or a yoga block also works really nicely. Something 3 to 4 inches high to put underneath your hips. Lie yourself back down. Heels of the feet are nice and close to the bum, so you can reach down and touch the heels with the middle finger of each hand. Bring your arms out to the side, press your palms to the mat, press into your heels, lift your hips up. This first one is unsupported for all of us. And you want to not lift so high that your knees disappear from you. Lower your hips a little bit so that your hips are right in line between your knees and your shoulders, or to the best of your ability while you're lying here on the floor. You kind of see. But what you want to feel is that you're not just using your butt to lift yourself up. It's not just the back of your body. You're also using the front of the body. So when you relax the hips a little bit, you now bring that belly button drawstring inwards, like you're picking up that bag and you're lifting your belly button towards the ceiling. So the front of your body is supporting the back of your body. Now another couple of breaths in this active variation of bridge pose. Try to find the balance between using the glutes. The glutes are a huge muscle group. They like to take over here using the hamstrings to also activating the front of the body. So a little softness in the hips. Draw the belly button in and up. And what hopefully you feel when you do that is that there's more space back here in your lower back. Inhale here. As you exhale, go ahead and release. Take another moment here. Take a deep breath. Now we'll go into the supported variation, or if you are choosing to go to a more active variation, go ahead and you'll just stay lifted. You'll press into your heels, lift your hips. If you're using a prop, slide it underneath. and lower the hips down. We'll spend a few breaths here just in bridge. If you're in the active variation, same thing as the first one applies. The belly button lifts up, the glutes soften a little bit. If you're in this restorative variation, you're working into the stretch, soften your hips as much as you can into that prop. Just let them go. Let your belly start to go. Relax. Take another deep breath here. If you're in an active variation, lower your hips all the way back down. And then regardless of whether you have the prop, you're going to extend your right leg to the bottom of the mat, reach your right arm long. And this time, let it be kind of a floppy stretch. You can let your right foot kind of let go. You can let your right palm let go. If you have the prop, you'll notice that little elevation in your hips just helps to stretch the belly a little bit more. Just starting to open up some of the tight muscles on the front of the body to facilitate release at the back of the body. We'll go over to the other side. Right foot in, right arm down. Left leg extends, left arm extends. And let this be really soft. You're not straining, you're not reaching like we did earlier. You're just melting into it. And that's where the prop really helps, because you don't have to add the engagement of the muscles to get the stretch. That little lift in your hips gives you that openness in the front of the body. Now you have a couple more breaths here. You could decide what direction to go. If you want to go full stretch and really just, you tend to have a lot of tension in your abdomen, you have a lot of pain in your lower back when you sit for long periods of time, you might go just full stretch and stretch both of your feet to the bottom of the mat and both of your arms up overhead and just melt into this. That might feel really good. If you are wanting a little bit more of an active practice today, you could always go back to your unsupported bridge, drawing the soles of your feet in, pressing your hands down, lifting your hips again. Focus there on softening the glutes while drawing the belly button up and in, so you're supporting the back of the body. Whichever variation you choose, we're going to take about 4 or 5 more breaths. If you're wanting to change it up, go ahead. You can always do some of both. A little bit of activity and then a little bit of letting go. Wherever you are, your breaths are deep. Last deep breath wherever you are. If you are coming from a supported variation, you'll draw the feet back in and draw the hands down. If you're coming from an unsupported variation, you're going to lower the hips. If you're coming from that supported area, lift your hips a little bit, take your prop out to the side, and then we're all going to take our feet a little wider than the hips. Perhaps let your knees knock in towards one another. Rest your hands on your lower belly here, and let the heat of your palms help you to relax that low belly area. See if you can imagine the lower abdomen softening and relaxing. And from here, we're going to make our way to seated. You could decide to windshield wiper your legs a few times side to side, and then roll yourself all the way over to one side and use your hands to press yourself up to seated, or you could go a little more active and you could draw your knees in towards your chest and rock a little bit forward and a little bit back. Just make sure your mat is cushiony enough that if you try that, it doesn't feel uncomfortable on your spine. After you go maybe 3 or 4 or 5 times forward and back or side to side, just rock yourself to a seated position. Cross-legged, legs out in front, or knees tented would be good options, because you have to move our pelvis back and forward here in a little cow and cat. So find your sits bones underneath you. If you need a small prop like a blanket or a firm block underneath you, go ahead. But again, you're going to move your pelvis, so make sure you feel pretty stable. And then put your hands onto your hips. This is going to be a little bit different than the traditional cat-cow, just because we're going to be focusing not so much in the length of our spine yet, but we're going to be focusing on the movement of our pelvis. So as you inhale, what you want to do is you can use your thumbs at the back of your pelvis. You can even feel the bones back there and place your hands on top. You're going to let the bones of the pelvis push forwards as you rock gently to the front of the mat. And then as you exhale, you can bring your hands a little bit to the front. You can push your pelvis back so your tailbone comes down towards the floor. You pull your belly back. Think of that drawstring drawing in. Inhale, open up the belly. The pelvis tilts forward. You can assist with the hands if you want. And then as you exhale, you rock back. So you really feel the motion in your hips as you move in this cow-cat shape. Forward, the pelvis rocks, and it's kind of like an extension. Then the low belly goes forward, the upper belly, the chest goes forward. And then as you exhale, the pelvis goes down, the mid-back rounds, the shoulders round. A few times. Oftentimes, our spines have so much tension gathered in the musculature around them that we kind of even forget in cow-cat that we're moving our pelvis. We just focus on the places that feel tight or stretch out as we move. So really focus on the movement here. And last step. As you inhale, come back to kind of a neutral spine. Reach your arms far up over your head. We're going to do that little alternate reaching again. So reach through your left fingertips, lengthen your left side, kind of relax your right side, maybe a little side bend over. And then same thing, reach with your right hand, soften the left side, lean a little over till you feel a stretch. And you're just going to climb this imaginary rope ladder with the left hand. And then with the next rung to the right hand, so you feel the sides of your body starting to stretch out. And you feel yourself rocking from side to side, from butt cheek to butt cheek, from hip to hip. Maybe once more on each side, climbing upwards. And then reach both hands up as you inhale straight towards the ceiling. As you exhale, bring your hands down and make your way to table pose. If you want to place a blanket under your knees, don't hesitate to do so. We're going to come back to that cow-cat movement. And again, focus on moving from your pelvis. You can even bring one hand to your pelvis if you feel stable enough. And what's going to happen is you're going to push the pelvis forward and down. As you inhale, your tailbone starts to go up, your chest comes forward, you look up. And then as you exhale, you tuck the tailbone, the pelvis tilts towards you. You find that cat shape. Inhale, you're pushing the pelvis down towards the floor. And then exhale, you're lifting it up, you're tucking the tailbone down towards the floor. You move from there. Inhaling, lifting the tailbone. Exhale, lowering it down so the movement originates in the hips. The rest of the spine just kind of moves along. It's like the passenger. It's along for the ride. It's not doing the driving. And begin to move a little more dynamically here. So take one more nice cow and cat. And then inhale, find a neutral spine, not rounded, not arched. You're going to take your hands maybe 2 or 3 inches in front of where they just were. So just a little bit out from the shoulders. Slide the shoulders of the wrist, tuck your toes under, and come to downward facing dog. You don't have to stay here long, but see if you can come to downward facing dog for a few breaths today, focusing not on straightening your legs, but on lifting your hips up towards the ceiling, bringing your belly and your thighs closer together. So you feel that your whole spine is elongating. You basically want to feel like your hips are being drawn up and back so that your spine can hang forward gently from your pelvis. You can find length. It helps to keep your knees quite soft and not to worry about your feet or your heels touching the floor. Feel free to have quite a lot of lift in your heels as you lift the hips. And if you want to move around a little bit and do some foot pedals, feel free. If at this point you want to drop back to your table, maybe drawing some circles with your hips would feel good. And I say keep your hands a little further out in front of you as you draw those hip circles. You'll have lots of space. If you decide to stay in downward facing dog, to stretch out the hips, you might turn your toes to the left, bend your knees, and lower your hips a little to the right. And then turn the toes to the right, lower the hips a little to the left. And just spend a few breaths playing here in your dog or in your table. If there's something that I haven't mentioned that feels really good, go ahead and do it. Let your body intuit where it needs to go to feel some space in the spine. Last deep breath here. And then gently walk or step your feet towards the front of the mat. You're going to come to your forward fold. Again, first keep your knees soft. Let your hips kind of aim a little bit back, your tailbone back behind you. You can even give it a little wiggle, and then drape your belly over your thighs so that your spine is basically hanging from the hammock of your pelvis is how I kind of think about this. And you feel that there's so much space and length between each of your vertebrae and your lower back. If this feels like a lot of traction to have your hands on the floor or on props, bring your forearms to your thighs. This is a nice place to be extended in the spine as you stick your buns out behind you, but still have a lot of support of the forearms to the thighs. Take a couple of breaths here. Don't hesitate to move side to side, or to nod and shake your head. Feel the length of your spine. And if you like a little bit more straightness in your legs as you inhale and come to halfway lift, go ahead and straighten your knees a bit. Reach the crown of your head forward. Now, if it feels good as you exhale, you can keep your legs a little straighter. But again, if you start to feel compression in your lower back, bend your knees more. Only come forward with straighter legs if you can still feel all of that space in your lower back as you stretch the hamstrings. Maybe you need to bend the knees a little more deeply so you can find some balance between stretching the back of the thighs and keeping the spine really long and relaxed. If you start to feel tension in this area, bend your knees a little more. We're going to do that again. Inhale. Halfway lift. It's fine to have your legs perfectly straight here, especially if you're supporting yourself. And then as you exhale, maybe the legs stay a little straighter, but you kind of just ease into it. If you need to bend your knees more to find that balance in the stretch, go for it. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. See where you need to be. Straight legs, bent knees. Where does the back feel spacious and full of ease? Inhale, find halfway lift. And this time as you exhale, soften your knees a little bit. Grow a little bit heavy in your head and start to roll one vertebrae at a time up towards the ceiling. Press into the heels of your feet. Maybe walk your hands on your thighs. Keep your knees soft the whole time until you're all the way up. And then you can straighten your legs as you roll your shoulders back. Exhale. Inhale, reach your arms up over your head. Interlace your hands, turn your palms up, and lean to the right. Inhale, come back to center. And exhale, lean to the left. Inhale, come back to center. Reach the palms of the hands up. Exhale, separate the hands and fold back towards the floor. Inhale, find halfway lift. As you exhale, you're going to plant your hands down. Step your left foot to the back of the mat and bring your left knee to the floor. Bring your fingertips to frame your right foot. Don't need to put flames on your right foot just yet. Shrug your shoulders back and lift the center of your chest forward so you feel a stretch now on the left front side of your body. You might like to put props underneath your hands, or you can place your hands on your thigh, press your thigh away as you bring your chest forward. So the whole left side of the body feels open, kind of like when you were lying on the floor and stretching from side to side or lying over your prop. Now, you're not totally relaxed because you're in this upright position, so draw your belly button in As you lift the center of your chest, it doesn't matter if you're perfectly upright here or if you're a little lower, you lift your chest. Enjoy the stretch. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Inhale deeply where you are. As you exhale, you're going to set your left hand on the floor or prop inside your right foot. Draw your right hand to the crease of your hip. Draw your right hip a little back to the back of the room, and then twist over to your right. You can keep your hand, I have my finger even tucked into my hip crease here to remind my hip, back, back, back. And it's not like you have to tug it back. You just want it not to be drifting forward. So you're not focusing now on the stretch on the inside of the left hip. You're drawing the right hip back, so maybe you feel a little more on this right side. And maybe you lift your arm up into the sky. Relax your shoulders. Take another breath here. Inhale deeply. And then exhale, fold towards the floor, framing the front foot with the fingertips, straighten the right leg. Feel free to use props underneath your hands here, especially if you tend to be a little tighter at the back of your thigh and your hamstrings and hips. If you don't feel a stretch yet, you can always wiggle your right foot forward or flip your right toes up. If it's a little much, you walk your hands in or up. If you need more, you walk your hands forward and you lower your torso down. Think about stacking your left hip more or less over your left knee as you come forward. So you're really bringing the focus to the back of the right leg. As you draw the right hip a little back and reach the crown of your head away from your tailbone. So regardless of the orientation of you to gravity, I'm kind of folded forward here. So when I draw my right hip to the back of the mat, I reach the crown of my head to the front of the mat. If I was more up and I had blocks, I would draw my right hip a little back and then lift the crown of my head to get that extension. Take another breath or two here. Relax your shoulders. And then on an inhale, you're going to come forward. Release yourself down to the floor with that right foot. If you brought the right foot really far forward, slide it back in. You're going to tuck your back toe. Lift your back knee, plant your hands down again. See if you can step back, even for a few breaths to that downward facing dog. Again, soften your knees. Really focus on lifting your hips up and back so your spine feels so long. Take another inhale here. And then as you exhale, bring your knees all the way to the floor. Take your hands even a little further forward, another couple of inches. Slide your shoulders over your wrists. Draw your shoulders back, lower your chest and your chin, but leave your butt in the air as you tuck your elbows in towards you. Untuck your toes, look forward, tuck your pelvis down, lift the center of your chest. Find cobra pose, press the tops of your feet down. Exhale, release. Press the feet down, draw the drawstring of your belly button in and up away from the floor and lift the center of your chest. Exhale to release. And as you release, you can really release your belly, let it kind of pluck against the floor. And then draw the drawstring of your belly in and up. And then lift your chest, shrug your shoulders back. If you want, you can start to come a little higher. Notice how as you engage the belly, the low back is so much easier to move because you're using those front body muscles to support the back of your body. Lower yourself down. We're going to do that 2 more times, your own pace. Contract the belly on an inhale, lift the chest. We're spending about a breath in our cobra. You can stay really low. You can lift up high, it doesn't matter. Lower down, and you have 1 more. Press the feet down, lift the belly button away from the mat. Elbows work to stay hugged in as you lift the chest. Exhale to release. Here you're going to press yourself up and back. Come to child's pose. Maybe take your knees a little wider, hips towards the heels. Actively crawl your fingertips forward, maybe even lifting the palms of your hands so you feel a stretch in the whole spine for a deep, full breath. And then as you inhale, come forward. You could come to your table pose. Or you can tuck your toes under and come to a downward facing dog pose. Take a deep breath here. Float your right foot up into the sky as you inhale. Bend your right knee, stack your right hip on top of your left. Look towards the right a little bit under your armpit in your dog, or in your table, you'll be going over your shoulder. Feel the stretch at the front of your body. Inhale, square the hips. Exhale, step the right foot forward. Soften the back knee, step the left foot next to the right foot. Inhale, find halfway lift. Your legs could be very straight here. And as you exhale, you fold. And you decide as you fold, how straight should my legs be so that I feel my hamstrings, but I also feel comfort and ease in my lower back. Soften the knees if you have perfectly straight legs, and inhale, roll all the way up. Hands come overhead. Exhale, folding. Keep it moving. I'm bringing my hands through the heart because that feels nice to my back, but your hands could go to the side if you like. Inhale, maybe a little straightness in your legs, halfway lift. As you exhale, plant your hands down, step your right foot back. Bring your right knee to the floor. Fingertips come to frame that left foot. And you could lift the center of your chest here if you want. You might stay low, you might bring your hands to props, but you're leaning your hips a little forward as you lift your chest. You feel the right front of your body stretching. If you like, you can come up higher, you can press your hands to the thigh and roll the shoulders back. And you just open up the hip flexors. You're opening up the quadriceps here a little bit. As you roll the shoulders back, you engage your belly. Draw that little drawstring in a little bit. It's like you're trying to take your belly button, draw it towards the midline, and then lift it up so that the whole lower back is supported. We'll spend a few breaths here. Enjoy this stretch. Inhale here. As you exhale, you're going to come with the the right hand to the floor inside the left foot. You could also be right hand on a block. Take your left hand to your left hip, draw your left hip back a little bit. Remind it to stay quite stable, and then twist so that you go from primarily feeling the right front side of your body to maybe now feeling your outer left hip as well. Lift your left arm up into the sky if you like. Shrug your shoulders back. If you need to, you can always keep your hand on your hip and just remind it to draw gently backwards. It's not so far back that your knee moves here at the front of the mat. It's just far enough back that you start to feel your thigh a little more. You start to feel your hip a little more. Relax your shoulders and your jaw. Inhale here. As you exhale, fold towards the floor. The hands again come to frame the front foot. The hips come back. And you start to find that stretch of the back of your thigh. And you just play around. It might be totally different on the left side than it was on the right side. With the right hip stacked more or less above the knee, maybe it's perfectly lovely on this side to have the knee quite bent or to walk your hands up. You can even do hands on thigh if you don't have props to place on either side of your thigh. If that doesn't feel like enough, you can go further forward, or you can inchworm that left foot to the front of the mat. You can turn the toes up. As you contract the quadriceps, you can help lengthen the back of the thigh. You can even fold further forward if you need to. And then you think, if I want more, I draw my left hip again back, just like I did in the twisted lunge, but I reach the crown of my head away from my tailbone, away from my hips. If I'm folded forward, that's to the front of the mat. If I'm lifted higher, that's towards the ceiling a little bit more. So that there's, again, all of that space in your spine as you are kind of a little bit bent forward over this front thigh. You're also stretching the muscles that line your pelvis as you draw the left hip back and the crown of the head up or forward. Another couple breaths here. Remember, it's okay to move around. You can wiggle your hips a little. You can always bend and straighten your leg. You want this to feel like a really good experience for your body. You want your body to want to return to this place. You want to leave a 5-star review of this pose. Take another nice deep breath here. And then you're going to roll a little bit out of this place the foot on the floor, draw it back if you drew it forward. You're gonna plant your hands down, tuck your back toe under, lift your back knee up, and you're going to go to your downward facing dog. Bend your knees, lift your hips first. Spend at least a breath here, lengthening your spine. I like to even let my hips go a little bit to the right and then a little bit to the left so I can really feel the space in the muscles on either side of my back. And then exhale, bring your knees to the floor. Walk your hands a little further in front of you. Shoulders over the wrist, tuck the elbows in, lower down, chest and chin, untuck the toes, inhale, lift the center of the chest, squeeze the elbows in, cobra. Exhale to release. And you can stay with cobra, pressing the feet down, drawing the belly button and lifting the chest. Or you can take a sphinx if you would like. Bringing the elbows under the shoulders, shrugging the shoulders back, lifting the belly button, rolling the shoulders away from the ears. If you're staying with sphinx, if you're staying with cobra, you could lift and lower that 5 times like we did before. If you're staying with sphinx, you can simply hold the sphinx pose for a few breaths, lifting the belly, pressing the tops of the feet down as you would in the engaged phase of cobra, but you stay there the whole time. You stay engaged. You have another deep breath, whether you're repeating cobra or holding sphinx. And then you lower yourself all the way down. You bring your hands under your shoulders. You're going to press back towards child's pose. Maybe think about taking your knees a little wider to create some more space. Actively crawling those fingertips forward. Exhale here. As you inhale, lift your forehead a little bit. Walk your fingertips over to the left. Let your hips go to the right. So again, you're stretching the sides of the body. Take a couple deep breaths over here. And then walking the fingertips over to the right. Hips go to the left. Walk the fingertips to the center line. Press them down, lift yourself back to your slightly extended table pose. You could stay here, or you could tuck your toes and come up to your downward facing dog. Take a deep breath there. And then walk or step your feet. Don't walk or step your feet forward because we have one more pose here. Stay in your table, your dog. Lift your left foot up. Bend your left knee, stack your left hip on top of your right. Find your scorpion. Feel again that openness in the front of the body. Draw your belly in as you square the hips. And then step the left foot forward. Step the right foot forward. Inhale, find halfway lift. Exhale to fall. As you inhale, roll up to the sky. As you exhale, bring your hands in front of your heart. Relax your tailbone towards the floor. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale to fold. Inhale, maybe the legs are a little straighter, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward, plant your hands down. Step your right foot to the back of the mat or your right knee. And then your left foot or your left knee back, table or downward facing dog. Maybe with that softness in your knees, lift your hips in your downward dog. Inhale. As you exhale, bring the knees to the floor if they're not already there. Hands are a little further out in front of you, shoulders over the wrists. Chest and chin lower down. Cobra pose. If you like, you could also add an upward facing dog or you can go back to sphinx. And then exhale, lift the hips back, table, or tucking the toes downward facing dog. Right foot comes to the sky as you breathe in. Now the right foot is going to step behind the right hand at the front of the mat. Back heel rotates to the floor about 45-degree angle, front knee over front ankle, lift up, warrior one. Pull your right hip a little bit back so you can think about that hip crease moving back and not so much that your knee moves out to the side, just enough that it moves back. My knee comes a little bit behind the back of my foot, behind my ankle because my stance is really long. So I'm going to just lower or lessen my stance by taking my back foot in a little bit so that as I draw my hip back, I can keep my front knee over my front ankle. Lift your arms up as you inhale. And then as you exhale, draw the drawstring of your belly button down, lower your elbows down, maybe bring your chest forward like you're doing a little cow pose here as you squeeze your shoulder blades together. As you inhale, you're going to round forward, pull your belly button back, bring your hands onto your thigh, find your cat pose. Inhale, open up. Exhale, round forward. I think I I changed the breath here, so if you're in an opposite breath pattern with me, don't worry about it. It's not so important today what the breath is doing, it's just that you're moving open, and then you're drawing down and back. Let's try 2 more like that. Inhale, open all the way up, arms come overhead. Reach up through the crown of your head as you draw that right hip again lightly back. Press into your left heel. And then fold forward. Plant your hands under your shoulders. Turn your back foot straight forward and back. You're going to go to 3-legged table or 3-legged dog. Taking that right foot again to the sky as you breathe in. And now take your right knee behind your right hand at the front of the mat. We're going to go to pigeon pose, but don't lie all the way down just yet. Slide your left thigh back, lie it to the floor. If this variation is not super comfortable, you can try sitting on the outer edge of your hip for this one as well. You can keep your back toe tucked under for this, and then what you want to do is walk your hands in to frame your kind of knee or your front knee so they're a little bit back behind your torso. Draw your shoulders up as you inhale. Squeeze your inner thighs together, squeeze your belly together. See if you can lift and get really light on your fingertips. Some people can even lift their fingertips up. You're really squeezing your whole pelvis together. Let your tailbone start to grow heavy. And then come all the way forward. You could lower your forearms to the floor. You could untuck your toe. Again, if sitting in this position doesn't feel comfortable, you can work to sit on the outside edge of your hip as you fold forward. If that doesn't work, you can always come back onto your back, crossing your right ankle over the top of your left knee. You want to feel the outside of your right hip. You want to feel as you move forwards, perhaps, that stretch in your lower back. So as you fold forwards, it's not just that you're collapsing to the floor. Having the elbows on the floor or your hands on blocks here, if that feels a little far away, is really helpful because you can almost traction yourself forward. It's like you're trying to slither out of your hips. And again, think about drawing that right hip a little bit back so you feel that nice work in your pelvis. And we'll spend a few breaths here, so don't hesitate to move around until you get to a spot that feels just so stretchy and so good. This is a target for your piriformis muscle, your glutes. All big movers behind you that when they're tight can make your low back feel really unpleasant. So sometimes when you release them, it doesn't feel like yummy. It's more of like the deep tissue massage. It's a little, ooh, grit your teeth, but you know it's going to feel so good afterwards. So if you're having a little bit of that intense sensation, that's okay. Take this from our pigeon pose variation into a twist. If you happen to be on your back, go ahead and just uncross your feet, hug your knees in, and rock yourself to a seated position. If you are facing forward, either as I am or sitting on the outside edge of your right hip, you're going to start to walk your hands in. Lift yourself up. If you're not already sitting on that outer right hip, you're going to lower yourself down to it. Rock your weight back. You can take your right hand out as a little prop here. You're going to take your left foot all the way forward. And if you reach the point where your foot is kind of at the front of the mat and your right hip says, I don't think so, extend your right leg long. If this still feels good, you can take your left foot to the outside of your right knee and lower your left butt cheek down to this Ardha Matsyendrasana, this twisted pose. If keeping that left foot on the inside of, or excuse me, the outside of the left hip, but kind of tucked in towards you doesn't feel good, feel free to join me in extending that bottom leg, that right leg, long. Bring the arms up, lift on an inhale, and as you exhale, twist over to your left towards your bent knee. Draw your shoulders away from your back, and again, just like twisting on the floor, you want to feel your spine in a most pleasant way. Breath here. Inhale back to the center line. You're going to unwind your legs, sweep them behind you. Come come to a table pose. Or if you prefer, tuck your toes and come to a downward facing dog pose. Take a deep breath there. You have a little bit more work to do, so when you're ready, lift your left foot to the sky on an inhale. And as you exhale, step your left foot behind your left hand. Rotate your back heel to the floor, 45-degree angle. Front knee is over front ankle as you come all the way up to your warrior one. Adjust. Again, you want to be able to draw your left hip a little back, but keep your front knee over your front ankle. So if your stance is too long, you can always take your back foot and bring it in towards you a little bit, so you can keep that front knee stacked as you draw the hips into a square position so that your hip points are pointing towards the short edge of your mat. Maybe lift your arms up. This is your inhale. As you exhale, draw your belly button in as you expand your chest forward, draw your elbows down, find that kind of lovely cow shape. And then as you exhale, draw your belly button back, round forward, hands come kind of down onto the thigh. It's almost like you're trying to create a curved C shape with your back, so really come forward. Inhale, open everything up. Exhale, round. It's like you're doing your cow cat. There can't be as much movement in your pelvis here because your pelvis is stabilizing you, but it's that same idea. Pelvis tilts a little bit forward. Pelvis tilts, and actually really the pelvis is tilting forward as we lift up. Kind of saying that wrong, and then the pelvis is tilting back as we tilt forward. Let's try two more. Lifting up and rounding forward. This is your last one. And now you inhale, and you lift all the way up. Soften your tailbone as you exhale. Inhale, lift up again. And exhale to fold forward. Turn the back foot straight forward and back. Three-legged table or three-legged dog, lifting the left foot up as you inhale. And then exhale, left knee behind the left hand. And again, you can stay upright for this first portion, or you can go over to the outside edge of your hip. But what you want to do is walk your hands in. Squeeze your inner thighs together. You want to get traction here. Lift your belly button up. It's like you're lifting your left hip away from the floor. You don't want your left butt cheek to be grounded here. You want it to be engaged. And you feel all of these muscles. You feel your pelvic floor lifting up and in. It's okay if you have to have your hands on the floor. This can be very intense. You can also tuck your back toe to help support your knee. Inhale. And then exhale, start to come forward. And as you come forward, if it's a little much in your hip, maybe you rock to the outside if you haven't already, or you go onto your back, left ankle over the top of the right knee. And you think about drawing your left hip a little back. As you lie yourself down, you reach the crown of your head forward if you are in a forward-facing position. If you're on your back, you can think about gently guiding your left knee away from your hip to get that traction in the hip and in the lower back. And again, we're going to spend a few breaths here. Going to really let go. I'm still up on my elbows. That feels quite nice, but if you want to fold quite a bit further forward, don't hesitate to do so. Work in the place that feels really good and really beneficial to your body. I know we get caught up in this idea of getting really close to the floor in pigeon pose, but sometimes that's not actually the best place to be. A little bit of lift can be nice. I'm finding that today, propped on my forearms, I get a much better stretch in the outside edge of my left hip. I can feel it into my IT band attachments down the outside of my left thigh even. Quite nice. And by nice, I mean it's a little bit intense. It feels good to let go of that held crap, to put it politely, in my muscles. All the tension that builds up when you sit in untenable places, all the tension that builds up when you work really hard in your exercise, whatever it might be, biking, running, hiking, all wonderful things. But it's nice to sometimes let go of that muscular engagement and remember that the muscles need flexibility just as much as they need strength. We'll move into our twist. If you're facing forward, you want to sit on the outer edge of your left hip. If you're on your back, again, you can just rock yourself to seated and then make your way to this position. And the right knee is going to come to the outside of the left thigh. If it feels good and the right butt cheek can sit all the way down, the left foot, the bottom foot, can stay folded in. If that doesn't feel good, for me that's always a little intense unless my hips are very open. Usually at the end of the day, I like to extend my left leg long so that both of my sits bones are equally on the mat. Inhale, lift up. And then exhale, find your twist and just let that feel like sweet release. Not too much intensity here, just gentle, yummy stretchiness. And you can tell if it's gentle because your breath is easily deep and full. Because you're not clenching your jaw or rounding your shoulders upwards. You're not drawstringing your belly, you're letting it go. You're setting down your belly button. Let it relax. Inhale here. And then exhale, gently unwind yourself. Uncross your legs this time. Take both of your legs out in front. If you draw the soles of your feet in, lean a little back. Lift your chest and windshield wiper your legs from side to side. Here, make sure you're right in the middle of your mat. Catch behind your thighs. Lift the center of your chest as you inhale, and as you exhale, slowly roll yourself to the floor. Feel free to draw your knees with you as you go if you like. And then bring the knees all the way into the chest. Turn the soles of the feet up to the sky for a happy baby. Hold your feet, your ankles, your calves, or even your thighs. If you're using a strap, a really nice option, especially after today's class, is to place a strap over the balls of your feet and hold the strap so you can get your feet really quite wide. Draw your thigh bones down into your hip sockets and maybe rock a little side to side. Is anything else that your body needs to do, go ahead, make that happen. When you're ready, guide yourself to Shavasana. Might feel perfectly lovely today to simply let the arms and the legs come long. And you might also like some support. If your low back is a tender area for you, a really nice place to support is underneath your knees. If you were using a blanket, you could roll it up and place it underneath the knees. A pillow works really great for this as well, so that you have just a little bit of bend, just like folding forward with the bent knees. It helps to create that extra space in the spine, so it can be a really lovely place to relax as well. You can use any height of prop. You can use quite a lot. You can use several blankets or several pillows stacked underneath your knees until you find a spot where your low back kind of goes, ah. That's really the most important thing here today, is finding a space where your lower back does say, I can let go, I can relax, I can feel comfortable and spacious. Allow your body to find that spot. To leave you here today. Please, if you have even another 2 minutes, stay. If you have another 5 minutes, great. If you have another 10 minutes, stay here and relax. I hope your low back feels more comfortable, more spacious, more relaxed than it did an hour ago. As usual, thank you for practicing with me. Thank you for your generous donations. Thank you for your presence. Namaste.